I love that album. That's one of their best easily. But then over the past few years, they've actually gone into more electronic stuff. They've ended up doing kind of very modern day electronic output, a lot of dancey stuff too, close to EDM at points, but not quite like something that you would hear from like Avicii or anything like that. But their last couple of albums have been a very twisted take on what electronic dance music would sound like from the mind of a very crazy man. Wish You was a very dark wave album. There was a lot of dark beats on there. It was quite ambient at points too. Definitely similar to a band called Dead Can Dance. If you've never heard of them, definitely check them out. They're from the 80s. They have a pretty cool discography. But their Mess was an album from 2014 which I absolutely loved, way more than Wish You, because this had so many danceable tracks on there. It was pretty crazy how they were able to do that. If you find a lot of dance music that hits the charts kind of repetitive and dumb and a bit boring, then you should definitely check out Mess by Lies, because it's a very interesting take on dance music. It's very alternative and it's very unique. And I thought they were going to continue in this direction, but this new album actually took me by surprise because it's not really anything like that. As much as I do enjoy quite a lot of these tracks, it's actually gone back to the days of Drums Not Dead, with the more mellow out sound and the slower sounds of that album and the slow burners, and the lyrics on this album seem to be quite dark as well. This is likely due to the fact that Angus Andrew is now working solo, so of course all of that backing instrumentation has been taken away maybe, and obviously he's got some people working alongside him for the music, but the ideas have probably kind of gone floating away as he doesn't have the same members as he used to with him. This album feels very isolated. It definitely gives that feeling off quite a lot of the time, and lyrically I am reminded of Grizzly Bear, because Grizzly Bear are always quite hard to read into, and this is one of those albums as well that's quite hard to read into. But in terms of production, I do really like a lot of the beats on this album across a lot of the tracks. I'm not gonna lie though, they're not quite as creative as we've heard from Liars in the past though. The track Staring at Zero is a very Nine Inch Nails inspired song, with the sinister synth line coming through and the industrial drum beat. It works quite well with Angus's lazy, drugged up vocals on this track. One of my favourite tracks on this album has got to be No Tree No Branch. This track is a very upbeat, catchy track. It's very melodic. There's a guitar coming in the beat as well, and I really like the way Angus sings on the song. It's quite catchy. Well, if you listen you can hear that sound. It sort of came out of nowhere for me though on this album. I mean, there weren't exactly any other tracks that sounded like this, so when this one came on I was bopping along. Then we got Cred, Woes, which is a more synth-driven track. This is another highlight for me on the album too. I really like the way the drum clap kind of comes in and out. It's quite catchy as well, this track. So in terms of sound, I think it is quite a varied album. I mean, then followed by this, we do get some slower tracks, especially Ripe Ripe Rot, and then the closing track. You know, there are some darker moments on this album, so I do feel like I've got to commend Liars here for making those different sounds and still manage to fit it all onto one album. I do really like the deep house inspired beat on tracks like Face to Face with My Face. I mean, that one really works well. I do love the atmosphere that they provide on a lot of these songs. And later on, Coins in My Caged Fist is a completely different song. It's a completely garage inspired track with its beat. So yeah, it is a really cool album. I just don't see myself returning to it as much as Mess. That was such a great album. But do check this out. Please do listen to Liars' discography. They have some great albums. I'm going to say this is a C+. Tell me what I should review next, and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, and have a good day.